Hey guys, so for this video, I'll be kind of talking about three unique cases in K-pop. I recently got the idea while I was talking while I was walking around my room, and I was just kind of looking at some of my albums and just thinking random thoughts, I guess. And I just kind of realized that these three groups kind of have something in common where not necessarily that they were flops, because they were never near um, being flops, because until this day they're still releasing music. So that definitely says something. And a lot of these debuted around the same year, and or like the same around the same years. But in my opinion, I think they never really got enough credit, or they never got to reach um, higher than I was expecting them to. Like, I think they never really got the peak that they deserved. And that's just my opinion. So that's just what I think. Maybe you guys think otherwise. But in my opinion, these three boy groups definitely deserve better. Um, I do like the fact that they've been able to kind of survive that. Each of them have special cases, and a lot of them are just really, really just sad. But at least they're still able to release music because they developed a solid following, um, where the fans still buy the albums, and but they're not necessarily, you know, mm, what like within the general public. Like they're not necessarily known within the general public, which is what I'm trying to say. And in the K-pop community, they kind of faded a bit. So yeah. So let's just get started. So if you want to hear my thoughts on them, just stick around. So the first group that I want to talk about is Boyfriend. They did make a comeback last year. It really went unnoticed. I myself don't even remember what the song sounded like. So that just goes to show how little Starship does for Boyfriend. They've been around for 7 years. They debuted in 2011, if I'm not mistaken. Because I think they debuted like a year after Sistar did. So they definitely were like getting a lot of momentum during their Janice and their Aya era, but I feel like Starship just kind of, I don't know, got distracted. They did ship them off to Japan for half of their careers, so they never really got to build a legacy in Korea. The last few years haven't been really good for a Boyfriend in Korea, but they developed a decent following in Japan, which if they do leave Starship, I would not be surprised if they just promote in Japan, and then kind of make a comeback randomly in Korea, like every year or every other year, because they'll still be able to make some money. I think the leader, I don't know if he's a leader. I think he's a leader. Dong Hyuk, right there. He was in the reality show, The Unit. I didn't watch it. I did see some articles that he got some good press from it, but I don't think he made the final lineup. But the show wasn't a hit like the Mnet produced series. So I don't know what's gonna go on with Boyfriend after their contracts expire with Starship. I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I'm not sure what's gonna happen with them, but I definitely think that they deserved a lot better. They had some really good songs. um, for a majority of their career. And some of the albums that I do recommend listening to are this album. Their best release, in my opinion, is their full length album in Korea with the Repack. I think that's like a really well produced album. Starship in general produces really good albums, at least for their boy groups, because they did a really good job with Sistar as well. But I think, I don't know, they're kind of hit or miss with Cosmic Girls. But definitely recommend listening to some Boyfriend. If you're planning to collect them, I think there's some of their stuff is out of print, but it's not too difficult to find at a decent price. So better late than never, because I don't know what's gonna go on with their contracts. And I don't really listen to their Japanese music because I don't think it's my cup of tea. But I definitely listen to their Korean stuff throughout their careers. I've been following Boyfriend since they debuted, so I'm just kind of upset they never really got enough exposure. And I think that Starship definitely learned how to handle a group that's not huge when it comes to the general public, but can have a big following. And I think that example, well, the only example is Monster X, because they're not necessarily very popular in Korea by just the general public. Like I was saying, I don't know. I don't think people would know like a Monster X song if you went to the streets and they're like, who do you think sings that song? I doubt that they will know it's Monster X. But that doesn't mean they're bad songs. I love Monster X's music. I think they've had a I don't think they had a really bad album kind of ever. But they've have a really solid following internationally and in Korea when it comes to their fans. So that means that they're not dependent on the general public to keep releasing music. And this is the case for a lot of new groups now, where they sell like a decent amount of physical sales, and they're able to go on tours, keep releasing music. And unfortunately that didn't happen for Boyfriend, because I think kind of how K-pop is promoted is a lot different than how it was a couple of years back. And Boyfriend did not benefit from that, because Starship started giving up on them. And obviously the result is that nobody really pays attention to Boyfriend comebacks, with myself included. I do try to keep up with like news from them, but I think I listened to the song and it wasn't even that good for their last comeback. And then the year before, I think they just had a digital single that was pretty forgettable. So yeah, it's just kind of difficult to kind of be relevant without just promoting as much as you can, because even big groups like Twice still have like at least 2 comebacks per year, and they're top tier in the K-pop world. So I don't know what's gonna go on with Boyfriend, but I definitely wanted to mention them because they're kind of that unique case where they never really were complete flops, but never like up there. So I'm just kind of curious to see what's going to happen with them. Then another group that has something similar going on, but had a bigger popularity than Boyfriend, is BAP. And well, we all know how BAP had a really, really good run since their debut until their contract scandal. So it's like one of the biggest disappointments that I've seen in K-pop, because I think as a group they have it all, and these days nobody really talks about BAP at all. They're still delivering musically. They're not necessarily depending too much on what's trending, but their style was uh, robbed. I want to say, I would take that back. I want to say robbed, but a lot of groups started taking a big inspiration from BAP. Obviously, the most evident group that adopted BAP's concept was BTS when they first debuted it, and they ran with it. And once BAP was on their little short hiatus from the contract issues, I feel like they took all the fans. I always mention this whenever I talk BAP because I feel like nobody really talks about them anymore, even though they still are delivering great songs, cool concepts, cool music videos, and yeah, I don't know what happened. I do hope that they leave I hope they leave TS, uh, because TS, they were pretty good earlier on with with Secret and with BAP, but then I don't know. I feel like they started being really shady, and I don't know if it was like they had a change in management or who was in charge of the company. I think last I've heard, like someone passed away from the company, and I think it was like the CEO or something. So I don't know. They've been really been screwed over, and it's not like so the cases are really strange because BAP still releases a lot of music, but still are kind of overshadowed, I guess, and boyfriend like doesn't release almost anything. So, but they're not flopping by with physical sales because they still do decent. Like they still sell a decent amount where I think they can still go on tours and things like that. Like there's still some interest from the fans, so I don't know. I feel like they deserve more, in my opinion. It's just really sad to see a group that had a really unique concept, and then now everybody's running with it, and nobody's paying attention to them anymore. So I still support them. I still buy most of their albums. I still keep up with what they release more than Boyfriend, but I don't know. Hopefully they have they manage to maybe pull out another hit to kind of revive their careers. If not, then I hope that the babies that are left from the fandom, we really get to keep them afloat for as long as possible. So yeah, that's my little rant about VAP. And then more of a unique case, I guess, Teen Top, which have really been on the down low for the last few comebacks they had these past few years. And I think the thing that I love about Teen Top is that they are very K-pop. They stick to that traditional K-pop sound. They've been sticking with it since they first came out. Same with Boyfriend too. Same with Boyfriend. BAP, they're more experimental. They had their cute songs. They had very K-pop, but they also have very unique songs that are not necessarily too K-pop friendly. I think Teen Top deserves better. Like, they've been always delivering good singles, cute little songs on the albums. The concepts are cool. And yeah, I think, well, there's, with top media, it's just really upsetting because they've been giving a lot of promotions for attention, and at least Teen Top is not on the same lane as 100% because those are like, that is like another video on its own. Like, that group suffered so much. But Teen Top did really have a good run for a good amount, like for a good 2 years. They were up there, but not too up there, and I think they could have gotten that opportunity A lot of just Teen Top songs are really, in my opinion, just iconic. Like them and Brave sound such a great combination. Like I think their last release they had was a Brave Sound production, or and I think they even had him like involved with the whole album. But I hope that I don't know if they're gonna leave Top Media that they'll get to continue. But they never really got to reach that level. Like what I mean by like becoming one of those top groups that were like everyone knew. Like for example, kind of going back there, like back in time. Like around like where Donbangshinki reached that level, Double S reached that level, um, kind of with the boy groups, Big Bang, Shiny, like that level, even 2 a.m. even reached that level for a little bit. Like they really hit that level. But I don't know, like they really haven't hit it off. Like even FT Island, who are still kind of running their, like still holding their own, like they peaked. They got to reach that level where everyone knew who they were, and I don't think that these three, which well, kind of have flopped a little bit, but not like flopped hard, Yeah, that's just kind of like my take on this. I don't know why I wanted to make a video kind of talking about it because it's really upsetting, and maybe some of you guys haven't heard of them because the companies don't really promote them that much anymore. Even on Twitter, I was checking some people, and they're like, "Oh, Teen Top apparently made a comeback." So that's how bad like it's going for them, and same with Boyfriend. And then BAP has a comeback like every 6 months, and nobody pays attention to them. So, yeah. I guess I can talk a little bit about collecting. I guess for these three groups. If for maybe you guys haven't heard of them or never heard of them before. I guess I can give little tips on collecting because these are groups that have been since 2010, 14 Top, 2011, 2012. So they've been at it for a long time. For BAP, I do know that their first few releases are out of print. So good luck finding those at a decent price because I've seen some people sell it for too much money, and like I feel bad for babies who never like who are trying to collect them. My biggest advice: get everything that they released recently, at least to have a good amount of their collection, and then focus on that. That's like my biggest tip for basically all of these. Teen Top, I don't think Teen Top is that difficult to collect. They're much easier to collect than BAP, at least for their older stuff. I think their older stuff are still being sold at decent prices. Obviously brand new is gonna cost you a little bit more. But most of the Teen Top albums at the beginning did not come with photo cards. So you might find them for good prices too. If you don't mind secondhand albums, but definitely Teen Top is not too difficult to collect, and neither is Boyfriend. So out of these three, definitely BAP is a little bit more difficult just for their older stuff, and they have more releases than these two. And obviously I don't collect BAP's like full discography in Japan, so that's a whole nother story. These two promote a lot in Japan, so they're groups that are a little bit more expensive. While Teen Top, you can complete a Teen Top collection in a year. Just being completely honest, like they're super easy. But these two, then it would be Boyfriend because it only had a few releases in Japan, and then they kind of been on a break, I guess. And then BAP, definitely BAP have a lot of albums, like, and they do come back more often than the other two. So just keep up with them and support them, at least buying their physical release, because I don't know if they'll ever get back their popularity they once had, or they'll even reach to a new level. But that's just kind of like my little bit, a little bit of my thoughts. I don't know. It was like seeing all these new groups and what they've been able to achieve, and I think these three deserve better. All right, guys. If you guys have any questions or requests, please comment down below. I'll try to make a video about it, I guess. And yes, I'm really excited for the summer comebacks. So far, I've been just really interested in what everyone's song and album's gonna sound like, and I will make a haul or an unboxing for whatever I get, like I always do. But yeah, bye guys.